Okay, so hello everyone. Today we will continue our journey with respect to, the insulin resistance or, diabetes or in general, the nutrition element. Today's topic is on a specific factor, which is the sugar spike after eating anything. Okay. So what we will look into that how our eating habit can help us managing this sugar spike. If we can manage the sugar spike, we can really control or impact insulin resistance. Now, individual results may vary, always the case. If something happens with one person doesn't mean it will happen with the other. There are different researchers. So today what we're going to talk about is not just what I've experimented on myself, but through different researchers. So thanks to all those people. What I have done is consolidated that information, because what happens is there are different food, different item, different way it goes. The idea is to summarize and see what it means to us. We'll continue, of course, next session also in terms of understanding and concluding what simple changes we can make in our life, which can make huge difference. And that's the whole point of this discussion. We don't want to drastically change our lifestyle. We want small changes. So let's start from some juices or, drinks perspective. So if we think of watermelon juice, generally we think, oh, it's loaded with sugar. So there are two things, right? Just to remind our discussion, there is glycemic index. And glycemic index is the measurement of how quickly any food item that you are eating or drinking will raise the blood sugar. 100 being the most rapid conversion, like, as if you have pure glucose. So that is our reference point. And then it will depend on individual food items, 100 being the highest, which is just like having a glucose. So this is glycemic index, how quickly, how soon it will raise your blood sugar. Because the moment blood sugar goes up, what do you need? Insulin. Now, generally we focus on this glycemic index or GI, and we look at it at any item and say, oh, it's very high GI. But there is actually another one, another term, factor, which is to me more important, which is glycemic load, GL. Glycemic load takes into account the GI, the index, but also consider how much carbohydrate in the serving. So it is not just how soon it will raise my blood sugar, but also how much of carbohydrate is there. Why it is important? Because we will see in some cases the sugar spike may be high, but it lasts for a very small time. So yes, for a very short time, I may be getting a huge impact, but then it subsides versus something which may go up slowly, but it stays high for a very long time. So that is why glycemic load to me is very critical, because it's already taking care of GI plus the factor that how long it will be hurting me. Hurting in the sense the body has to work on it. So in the calculation, it's already taking into GI, then the grams of carbohydrate dividing by 100, that's how you get a glycemic load. So glycemic load, usually we say if it is 10 or below, great. Kind of 11 to 19 is moderate, and about 20 is high. So that's how we look at the glycemic load. And with respect to what we will be talking about mainly, the sugar spike. And this is with respect to any food item. This is mg per dl. If it is below 30, 30, then it is decent. Of course, if the sugar spike is much lower than 30, even better. So that's what we will keep looking, what items could be below 30 or above, and how to eat or drink these items which are more. So watermelon juice, we know watermelon is kind of, it's pure sugar, right? Or it is loaded with natural sugar, like when we look at that. So what happens is that after a couple of hours of having this, if you measure, you will have a spike, and that spike goes up to 37. Again, it is mg per dl every time anyone we are talking about. So what happens here is it is going to 37, which is high, like if you want below 30. And it is understandable that what's happening. When you have any spike, what happens? Insulin will be released. The body will say, hey, sugar is high, release insulin, insulin will drop it down. So what happens in certain cases? When it is too much spike quickly, extra insulin will be released and it will drop it. But what happens in certain cases, and watermelon is in one of those cases, when it drops below the baseline. It's like, you are driving a car on a highway and then all of a sudden traffic stops and you are slamming the brake. So not only you are slowing down, but you are slowing down too much. And then again, everybody starts. So this delays the traffic on the highway just because everybody is slamming and then you slam too much. So here, when insulin is rushed, it drops below the baseline. And then what happens sometime when it is below the baseline, the body will show certain behavior. Like, for example, a person will feel low, a person will, um, kind of low energy, not feeling good. In fact, one may feel hungry or lightheaded or cannot concentrate on anything. So these kind of observation happens when it goes below. Let's compare it with coconut water. Now, coconut water is, when you buy, you're drinking. So what happens there is again, pretty much 37. And one may wonder, how can it be 37? And again, it depends on, which one you are buying, because when it comes to processed level, things may be different. But here, one main thing is it does goes up, but then comes down quickly and doesn't go below the base level. Big difference between watermelon juice and coconut water. So coconut water is making you stay there. Let's compare with sugarcane juice. Sugarcane is again pure sugar. It goes up to 75. So from the baseline, when you're having it, it is jumping by 75. Huge, huge increase. So that's why when you have sugarcane juice, of course, you feel like you are drinking sugar. It's so good, so refreshing. I love it. What you have to do is moderate. You have to be mindful of that. Like, drinking here and there versus drinking every day, big difference. And drinking fresh versus, canned, any item makes a difference. But again, same here, like sugarcane, when we talked about watermelon, when it drops, because it is so much increase that insulin is rushed, and then it drops below your baseline. Again, what may happen? You may feel hungry after that. You may end up eating something after that. So not only you had insulin acted and brought it down, but you end up eating more. Orange juice, fresh orange juice, such a nice thing. What is the increase? 42. More than 30. And again, anytime it is more than 30, this 40s and 50s, it will dip below the baseline. Coconut water did not dip. Another thing which is very famous in India is bel ka sharbat. Extremely, again, healthy and nutritious, but the first increase goes 37. So what happens is, because the taste is not good, people add a teaspoon of sugar here. So obviously, when you're adding a teaspoon of sugar, it will increase. But bel ka sharbat, when you have, it doesn't go below the baseline. If you have just nimbu pani or shikanji, what we say, 28. Now, again, where it is coming from, this main increase, it is coming from sugar. If you don't add sugar, then lemon and water will have no increase. So you have to be careful here what we are adding. Generally, people take with a teaspoon of sugar. Of course, if you add more, if you are sweet tooth, and a couple of teaspoons, of course, the readings will be totally different. But if you take the sugar part out, the spike goes out. Like buttermilk. Buttermilk, if you're having, just the butter and the milk, you're not adding again you're not making it sweet or anything, like we call chaach, which is typically, maybe a little bit of senda namak or salt, some uh, taste purpose, you will be adding, but not the sugar or the sweet part. Then it's just only 5, single digit. That is why chaach is so good. Buttermilk. Why I'm stressing here is because buttermilk is very easy to digest. It is very good for our gut. Something that you have, like a milk product, like if you're drinking milk, it's totally different than having buttermilk. No comparison. Milk, I'm not getting into the vegan or vegetarian or all those things, but certainly milk we cannot digest. That's my personal opinion. Milk is not for us, that we keep drinking at all ages. But buttermilk, because it is converted into yogurt, the bacteria has acted on it. Buttermilk is a different category. So you can, of course, have yogurt. We'll talk about yogurt. But that is why the buttermilk is so good. Now, another thing which is common in, especially, in India, or at least everybody, most of us likes, is ampana. So it's a mango based. So obviously it will be sweet, but again, people add up sugar in it. If you add a teaspoon, a couple of teaspoons of sugar in it, obviously you'll see the spike going up to 42. And you will say, oh, ampana is 42. Yeah, because you're adding sugar in it. Another famous drink, ruabza, like people drink in the summertime, it takes you 53. Why? It's full of sugar. So what we have to be mindful of, whatever you're drinking, how much sugar we are adding in it. You may be adding it, or it may be already having it added, right? Depends. Now, let's see about, some of the things that commonly we eat. Kids, if we talk about that, and sometimes adults even, French fries. French fries is something that, you're traveling, or otherwise people either making it home or generally outside. It will take you close to 50. If you are having, a usual large serving, is spiking up to 50. Now, anything which is above 30, try to avoid. But so compare now that with chopped salad. You go outside, or, sometimes the kids going to school, or, picnic. What is your first choice? French fries. Now, compare it with salad, no increase. Salad, where you have mixed green, you may have extra virgin oil or some other, apple cider vinegar or another dressing. You have to be again careful which dressing you are adding, but suppose of these usuals, natural dressing with, mixed green salad, no increase. Why? There is nothing to, call the insulin for. There's no sugar. So what happens is when you have, say, if you're eating just apple, so what happens? It may increase because apple naturally is a sweet food. It's a fruit, but natural sugar. So if you're eating only apple, it increases to 34. Now you may say it is just about 30 what we were trying to control on. But it's natural. However, it is still spiking. So action on the body of natural sugar is, to me, is much better than the artificial, and especially never go for 0-calorie sweetener. Totally avoid, because they have much more negative effect. Because if someone says, hey, I have a 0-calorie sugar and see there is no spike, you may not see this spike, but the impact on the body, especially on the gut microbiome, is huge. And you end up eating more, which will again nullify the impact that you were trying to achieve. So if you eat apple by itself, it's 34. If you eat cheese and apple, the spike is only 21. If you are eating apple with, say, almond butter, and now you may say, hey, why would I eat? The point here we are saying is anything that you eat alone has one impact. If you eat with fat, fiber, or protein, FFP, just fat, fiber, protein, it will drop the spike. And this is the key. So if you say, yes, I'm having fruits and all, one thing could be you eat on empty stomach, you will see a change in the spike, versus if you have some kind of fat, fiber, or protein along with it, you will see a different impact. So suppose in the morning itself, you first thing you have is apple, spike. Suppose you add some fat, natural fat, right? You don't want cheese, add some nuts. A very good idea is in the night, soak it overnight, almond, walnuts, and all those nuts, anyone, whatever you prefer, and then have it. And then you have apple, in this example, what we are talking, from 34 to 21, you have lowered the spike. And this is one way of helping your body, of avoiding that, the jerks, the spikes of the insulin resistance. If you take plain yogurt, no flavor. The moment you buy a flavored yogurt, sugar. But when you buy plain yogurt, zero, no spike. And that's why when we talked about the charge, we're talking about 5, because it's pretty much close to 0. Now, another thing we eat a lot, rice. Right? And what happens with rice, there is there is a hack kind of thing. People say if you, eat overnight, leave it in the fridge and then eat next day, you will have less spike. So if you eat a fresh, your spike could be 40. If you eat after 24-hour refrigerated, 37. So not a significant difference. People may say this happens, but not a significant difference, fresh versus refrigerated. You still are having this spike of 40 or close to 40, which is more than 30. So again, when you're eating rice, yes, of course, we eat. One could be mindful of how much. Now, if you eat, say, grilled cheese sandwich, 2 slices, sprouted grain bread, and cheese slices, your spike could be only 27. You eat just a white bread toast, it will go to 50, double, or, depends on which bread, because that makes a big difference here, because it's a grain, with cheese. So fat and protein and fiber reduces the spike. Processed food in any case, better to avoid. But if you have to pick between the one, then remember this. So oatmeal, same thing. If you have 12 ounces of steel cut oatmeal for a breakfast, sometime, this thing is a popular choice, right? So in this case, steel cut oatmeal will take it again to about 30 range. So it's just hitting 30, again, because oat and that also steel cut. So you have the grain part of it. And if you are having, say, oat milk, then it is more than 32, because now, again, the combination is what we are talking about. And again, you have to see if any this kind of processed milk you are getting from outside, is it regular, sweetened, or what? Because that will decide the spike. You may get 50, you may get 27 range. You have to see what, if you are you making it home or you are taking it there. So unsweetened version will have no spike. But the moment you take the regular, your spike of that milk could go to 27 to 50 range, depending on the sweetened part. So when you take almond milk unsweetened, you are getting no spike because it is all almond based. No reason to spike. But when you take this sweetened version, so that's what I recommend. Drink plant-based milk. I prefer coconut. I only drink coconut milk, and then unsweetened. Don't worry about the sweetness part. If at all you have to add something, you do it. Then you can control what you are adding rather than buying the sweet version. Greens like, baby bok chow or any kind of such green, because seasoned with soy sauce, no impact. So you buy, vegetables from the market. If you're having just some seasoning and all that, no increase. There's no sugar in it. Cashew, eat 2 ounces, high fiber, high protein, no carb, no increase. Bell pepper, yes, it goes a little bit up to 20. Red is better than green, again, because of the ingredients. So some fruits, vegetables have natural sweetness. It will increase, but 20 is excellent, So looking for snacks, yes, you can have bell pepper is a good idea. You can have it with some seasoning or something, depending on your liking. Just like we talked about cashews, walnut, almonds, just soak them, have it, no increase. It's a very healthy fat and fiber that you are having. Now, processed food, again, very common thing is that, oh, tomato soup, we think it is very healthy, but you are buying it from the store. Processed food will come some form of sugar in it. It will come with preservative. It may come with a lot of other things. And boom, there we go. The spike goes to 45. So be very careful. Sometimes the label may not say sugar, but read in the carbohydrate section. They will show carbohydrate so much, then they will show breakup as sugar is so much. The whole amount of carbohydrate, consider it as not good for you, sugar equivalent. As a rule of thumb, so that you are not doing too much mathematics in it. Of course, we need carbohydrates, but we get from different sources. So don't worry. The issue is, are we taking too much, which most of us are. So don't just look at sugar, because sometimes the way the labeling are, not in our hand. Refined carbs after dinner, be very careful. Sometimes you go for movies late night, and what do we do in movies? Popcorns. And that also with butter. So what happens? You had your dinner, now you're having popcorn, whether at home or movie hall, you will have a huge spike. Why? Refined carbs after dinner, and after the movie, you will be going to bed. No time for your activity, walking or doing certain, normal movement of your body, which will help taking care of that extra spike that you had. So what will happen? What is the biggest risk here? Not just the popcorn you had. If you had it, say, example, 12 in the noon, is totally different than when you have 11 p.m., 10 p.m. Because of lack of activity after eating those refined carbs, popcorn, especially movies on late night, or you sleep and the spike stays for most of the night. And this is the highest risk because most of the night means you're sleeping for 6 to 8 hours, and the spike means insulin is needed, not for just 45 minutes, not for an hour, not for two, but entire range. And this hurts you the most. So if one thing, in case if you have in your lifestyle, this should be the first one to go. It's a no-no. Another thing, you, you're traveling, you're outside, sometimes we have no choice. A very simple example to talk about here is, say, example, you go to Subway, right? You have a choice. You can take multigrain bread, you can take white bread, or you can take flatbread. Flatbread seems like, what's wrong? It's same as white. Huge difference. Same ingredient. If you take flatbread, it's going up to 51. Same ingredient, you put it into white bread, it drops down to 36. That means white bread is better than flat bread. Same ingredient, instead of white, you choose multigrain, it will drop. And plus, you can look into the sizes. You are taking 12-inch or just 6-inch sub. So control the portion and pick which bread you want to take, multigrain versus white or flat bread, and you can bring it down to 18. So a simple, you can say, change in your mindset or lifestyle. So reduce the carb, eat carb. Not that you don't have to eat anything, eat the carb, but don't eat a 12-inch bread. Take your portion of whatever the fillings you have, but bread could be just 6 inches. What happens when like we are talking about the yogurt and all, the moment you take fruit yogurt, if you are just taking yogurt and adding, say, example, blueberries or any berries, beautiful. But it should be not sweetened yogurt. Just take Greek yogurt, not the fruit version. If you are buying a flavored version from the store, it is sweetened. But when you buy plain fruit yogurt, means plain yogurt rather, I should say, sorry, and then adding fruits yourself, means adding blueberries or whatever on top at home, that is perfect. Your increase will be minimum, like 5, 8, 0, whatever berries and other thing, natural sugar you have, and berries have low sugar. Yogurt has nothing because it is a fat protein. So sometimes we end up eating crackers, right? If you eat cracker only, it will increase to 24. This we are talking about 6 crackers you just took, it increases to 24. But when you have it with cheese, it drops down to 29. Why? Because again, cheese is giving you the fat. Again, anything with fat, protein, or fiber drops the spike. You say, no, 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 I don't want cheese. Take avocado. If you have a paste, you can make with the different ingredients, add some spice, add some, veggies in it, and then you have ready. So similarly, like, as we were talking about the Subway, same is toast. You have toast, depend which bread you take. Banana. Banana is again one thing which in fruits people say It's a lot of sugar and all. Yes, banana alone, it will take it. The spike will be to 35. Argument's sake, banana with peanut butter will drop from 35 to 25. Lower spike. So you see, depends what you're eating. Are you eating alone or you're eating along with something? Anything that you have, dry, like even if you have, wine, champagne. So if you have champagne regular versus dry champagne, big difference. Dry means less sweetened, and you will have probably very low spike versus a full-on sweetened one. Same fruits, we continue on lychees, 6 to 7 lychees you have, feels like it's very sweet and all, it will take to only 12. So you see 12 is a very good number. If you eat, say, apple pie, that also with ice cream, of course, you are talking 50 range. But the interesting thing is, our typical food, like, for example, let's talk about chola bhaturas, because that is one thing a lot of people like, right? You will see your increase is only 22. And you will say, wow, I had two chola bhaturas and increase is only 22. Why? Because it's made up of maida. Maida has high glycemic index, but the sugar is coming out slowly and it is continuing. It takes a long time for it to come down to normal. So don't just go by the spike, also see the duration. So if you are having two chola bhaturas, can you cut down to one? And if you're eating, say, 4 or 3, can you cut down to 2 or less than 2? So the idea here is don't give up the taste. If you want, just cut down the quantity. So you're not increasing your window that your body has to deal with. Then another thing, does walking 10 minutes after the meal helps? So you will see some impact, but the drop is like not that significant compared to the drop that you will see if you choose to add salad in your meal and change the rice, for example. Bread, we already talked about how from white. Similarly, if you're having chapati, switch your flour. If you can switch from white rice to brown rice, huge difference. Aloo parathas, parathas are another thing which is, very popular. Increases to 29, whereas two white bread toast takes it to 50. Again, depends how thick, how big are the parathas and the duration. So again, the better way is eat, control the quantity. You have cake with ice cream, it will take it to 43 because again, it is cake and ice cream. Tea will have a teaspoon of sugar as well. So obviously it's spiking vertically kind of up and then slowly, slowly it will come down. So depending on what size, what portion of cake you are having. You take paneer tikka by itself, no increase because there is no sugar in paneer or tikka. But if you take it with, say, a roll, with the roti, with the bread, boom, 23, all coming from the roti or the bread itself, depending again on the portion. Now let's talk about the snacks. Bhel puri, another very popular one, or samosas. I mean, samosa, who doesn't like samosas, right? Bhel puri will increase to 35, two samosas increase to 30. And you will say, wow, samosa has less increase than bhel puri. Bhel puri is lighter. That does not mean it is not increasing because it's the entire thing is carb. And what is samosa? Samosa is, again, you have the shell, you have the filling, which is increasing. So again, you see, sometimes you think lighter version may have less, or let me have more bhel puri. But remember, it is full of carb, and on top of it, you are adding a lot of chutneys, the sweet chutney and this chutney and that chutney, and all those ingredients are adding it up. So if we summarize, if we say what it means, couple of things, don't go by the portion size and all, be mindful of the quantity, right? Second thing is change, if possible, from certainly the white flour to the multigrain, change from white rice to brown rice. So keep cutting the carbs, right? If you have too much carb, I'm not saying making zero, please don't. We need carbs for our body, right? But quantity, and then go towards the brown rice. Brown means multigrain and all. Don't eat sugary thing empty stomach because it will spike a lot. If you can mix match, right? Mix match means what? Remember, fat, fiber, protein. So that means you have your fruits, empty stomach, great, but have some nuts along with it. It will reduce the spike. Any kind of like avocado and all. You don't like avocado, take some nuts, over soaked and all those things. Whatever. If you're having oatmeal, yes, you can have nuts in it. You can have all those in it. You will not have that much spike. If you can switch from regular cow milk to any of the plant-based, beautiful. Don't buy sweetened version. Yogurt, buy plain yogurt. Any of those drinks, be mindful. So again, cut down the quantity. You have watermelon juice, great. You have sugarcane juice, great. But again, quantity, and don't have it too frequently. Be mindful. Have everything. That's why nimbu pani, great. It's just what you add in it after that sugary part that makes the difference. Otherwise, nothing. Buttermilk, beautiful drink. So if we combine things properly, it will reduce the impact. When you are reducing the spikes every time you are having, it will avoid the chance of insulin resistance. If you don't eat too frequently, every 2-3 hours you are giving a jerk to your body, you will have much better control without any medicine or intervention. So masters, this was about how the sugars are spiked and the impact of glycemic index and load. Of course, we'll continue next week and we'll take your questions here.